everyone, welcome to Big Science Academy. I am Rituparna Dash and today we are going to discuss about excretion, mainly on human excretion process. So let's start it. Here we can see that urinary system of human, and it is mainly associated with removal of nitrogenous waste products and maintenance of osmotic balance. It consists of a pair of kidneys, a pair of ureter, a urinary bladder and a urethra. And here we can see that the longitudinal section of kidney, and here is the nephron, which is the structural and as well as functional unit of. Now we will discuss about the kidneys. First, we will discuss about the position of the kidneys. Kidneys are located in the abdominal cavity, one on the other side of the vertebral column just beneath the diaphragm, and it is attached to the dorsal abdominal wall by peritoneum called mesorchium. Next, we will discuss about the external structure of the kidneys. Kidneys are chocolate brown in color and it is bean shaped, about 11.25 cm long, 5 to 7.5 cm broad and 2.5 cm thick. The outer margin is convex. We can see that the outer margin of the kidney is convex in shape, and the inner concave margin represents a notch called hilum. Through hilum, ureter and renal vein come out and renal artery enters in. Kidney is enclosed in a tough renal capsule which is formed of white fibrous tissue. Now we will discuss about the internal structure of the kidneys. A longitudinal section of kidneys shows two distinct regions. Outer dark region is called renal cortex and it contains Malpighian corpuscles, both distal convoluted tubules or DCT and proximal convoluted tubules or PCT. Inner pale zone is called the medulla. It contains Henle's loop and collecting tubules. Medulla is formed of a dozen or so triangled masses called renal pyramids. The pyramids have a striated appearance. The cortex between two adjacent pyramids forms renal columns. Now we will discuss about the nephron, and we all know that the nephron is the structural and as well as functional unit of kidney. Each human kidney is formed of about 1.25 million of nephron. But the kidney cannot regenerate new nephrons. Therefore, with renal injury, disease or normal aging, a gradual decrease in nephron number occurs. But this loss is not life-threatening because adaptive changes in the remaining nephron allow to continue the process properly. And nephron is consist of mainly three parts. The number one is renal corpuscle or Malpighian corpuscle, second one is nephric tubules, and the last one is collecting tubules. Renal corpuscles or Malpighian corpuscles is composed of mainly two parts. Bowman's capsule, this one is the Bowman capsule, and glomerulus. Nephric tubules is consist of three parts. The first one is proximal convoluted tubules. This part is the proximal convoluted tubules. The next one is Henle's loop or loop of Henle, and the other one is distal convoluted tubule or DCT. And the final one is collecting tubules, which is associated with the distal convoluted tubules. Next we will discuss about the Malpighian corpuscle. Malpighian corpuscle is a knob-like structure or a round body, and it is the beginning of the nephron, and it is situated at the cortical portion of the kidney. Its diameter is about 200 μ and it is composed of two parts, glomerulus and Bowman's capsule. First we will discuss about the glomerulus. The cavity of the cup enclosed a bunch of capillaries is called glomerulus. This one is the, on the one side, afferent arteriole brings blood into the glomerulus, and on the other side efferent arterioles collects blood from here. The diameter of the efferent arteriole is higher than the diameter of the efferent arteriole, and there are about 50 capillary loops. So, what is the function of the glomerulus? Glomerulus acts as a mechanical filter. All the byproducts of the blood except colloidal parts, that means proteins, are filtered here in high pressure. Next, we will discuss about the Bowman's capsule. The blind end of nephron is like a double-walled cup. It is called Bowman's capsule. It is composed of two layers. The outer squamous epithelium layer is known as parietal layer, and the inner visceral layer is composed of a special kind of cell called podocyte cells. These cells have finger-like projections, and these finger-like projections are called pedicles. There is a space between the podocyte cells and the basement membrane, and the space is about 250 angstrom, and the space is called podocyte space. This space is also known for the filtration slit or slit pores. So what is the function of the Bowman's capsule? It helps to fluid that filtered from the glomerulus flows into the Bowman's capsule and then into the proximal convoluted tubules. Next, we will discuss about the nephric tubules. The remaining part of the nephron after the Bowman's capsule is called secretory part, and it lies within the ciliated epithelium. First one is proximal convoluted tubules or PCT. This area is proximal convoluted tubules or PCT. It is about 10 to 15 mm long. It is lined with a single layer of cubical epithelial cells. These cells have numerous microvilli at the outer surface, and it contains cellular organelles like mitochondria, nucleus, etc. The function of the nephric tubule is reabsorption of water, glucose, amino acids, hormones, important organic salts, etc. The reabsorbed materials again come back to the bloodstream by vasa recta. Next one is loop of Henle. Here is the loop of Henle, and it is U-in shaped, and it lies in the medulla portion of the kidney. Each loop consists of a descending and a ascending limb. This one is the descending limb and this one is the ascending limb. The walls of the descending limb and the lower end of the ascending limb are very thin and therefore are called thin segment of the loop of Henle. After the ascending limb of the loop has returned part way back to the cortex, its walls become much thicker and it is referred to as thick segment of the ascending limb. At the end of the ascending limb, there is a short segment which is actually a plaque in its wall. It is known as the macula densa. Function of the loop of Henle is selective reabsorption, and it also helps in the countercurrent mechanism. Next, we will discuss about the distal convoluted tubules. It is situated in the cortex region of the kidney and it is lined by cubical epithelial cells. The first part of the DCT comes in close contact with the glomerulus and afferent arterioles of the glomerulus. Togetherly, they form juxtaglomerular apparatus or JGA. The function of the distal convoluted tubules is water reabsorption and formation of the hyperconcentrated urine. Next, we will discuss about the collecting tubules. A collecting tubules receives distal tubules of the several nephrons. Here we can see that the distal convoluted tubules is associated with the collecting tubules. It is lined by cubical epithelial cells. Neighboring collecting tubules join together to form the duct of Bellini. Opens at the apices of pyramidal region of kidney. The function of the collecting tubule is water reabsorption and the formation of the hyperconcentrated urine. Now we will discuss about the formation of the urine or the process by which urine is formed. The urine formation process mainly involves three processes. The first one is glomerular filtration or ultrafiltration. Second one is tubular or selective reabsorption, and the last one is tubular secretion. Here we can see that the urinary excretion rate is equal to filtration rate minus reabsorption rate plus secretion rate. Now we will discuss about the first process of urine formation, that is glomerular filtration or ultrafiltration. Bowman's capsule acts as ultrafiltration. As blood flows through the glomerular capillaries, water and all other substances except blood plasma, that is blood cells, and plasma proteins filtered out of the blood into the Bowman's capsule. Blood is separated from the cavity of the Bowman's capsule by two very thin membranes, the endothelial layer of blood capillaries and epithelial layer of Bowman's capsule. The capillary wall has numerous fine pores of 0.1 millimeter. As we all know that the afferent arteriole is wider than the efferent arteriole, therefore the amount of blood that enters through the afferent arteriole in a definite time is not fully drained out by the efferent arteriole. This increases the hydrostatic pressure in the capillary network of glomerulus, and the effective filtration pressure or EFP, it helps to this filtration process. Now we will discuss about the glomerular filtration rate. So what is the glomerular filtration rate? The rate by which filtrate is produced in the glomerulus through the glomerular capillaries is called glomerular filtration rate or GFR, and the process is known as glomerular filtration. Two different forces are there which favoring and other two forces which opposing the filtration. Forces that favoring the filtration are glomerular hydrostatic pressure and Bowman's capsule colloid osmotic pressure, and the forces that oppose the filtration process are Bowman's capsule hydrostatic pressure and glomerular capillary colloid osmotic pressure. Here we can see that the net filtration pressure, and how can we get net filtration pressure? That glomerular hydrostatic pressure minus Bowman's capsule pressure and osmotic glomerular pressure. Glomerular hydrostatic pressure which favors the filtration process, and glomerular colloid osmotic pressure and Bowman's capsule pressure which oppose this filtration process. When we can see that the glomerular hydrostatic pressure is 60 mmHg, Bowman's capsule pressure is 18 mmHg, and glomerular osmotic pressure is 32 mmHg. And we can see that the net filtration pressure is 10 mmHg. Next we will discuss about the tubular or selective reabsorptions. Materials that are reabsorbed include water, glucose, amino acids, and several ions like sodium, potassium, magnesium, chlorine, sulfate, etc. Tubular reabsorptions allows the body to retain most of its nutrients. Sodium ions are actively reabsorbed mostly from the proximal and distal tubule. If more amount of sodium ions are present in the glomerular filtrate, reabsorption occurs. When less amount of sodium ions are present, more fluid reabsorbed from the tubule so as to maintain the sodium and the fluid level in its normal condition. Major part of the water is reabsorbed in the descending limb of the Henle's loop, distal convoluted tubule and collecting tubule. The hormone secreted from the posterior portion of the pituitary gland, which is ADH, helps in this process. Now we will discuss about the facultative reabsorption. About 80% of the water is reabsorbed by this method. When blood water concentration is very low, ADH is secreted and it increases the permeability of the plasma membrane of the distal and collecting tubules. As the membrane becomes more permeable to the water, water molecules are absorbed. Here we can see that when ADH hormone is absent, no water reabsorption occurs. But when ADH hormone is present, we can see that the water reabsorption is occur. Now we will discuss about the obligatory reabsorption. About 80% of the water is reabsorbed by this method from proximal convoluted tubules. This water reabsorption is controlled by both sodium ion transport and by water carrier molecules. Sodium ions are transported from proximal convoluted tubule into the blood, and the osmotic pressure of blood becomes higher than that of the filtrate. Water molecule follows the sodium ions into the blood and in order to re-establish the osmotic equilibration. This PCT has no control over osmosis and it is always permeable to water. The next one is tubular secretion. It includes the movement of certain substances from peritubular blood into the tubular fluid. Urea, creatinine, very little amount of uric acid, and also potassium ion, hydrogen ion are secreted from blood in the tubular fluid in the distal convoluted tubules and collecting tubules. Okay, from this diagram we will see how urine is formed. First, when isoosmotic filtered is in the glomerulus, it is in isoosmotic condition. Then water, glucose, sodium potassium ion, ketone, uric acid, chlorides, amino acids are reabsorbed from the proximal convoluted tubules. From the descending loop of Henle, water molecules are reabsorbed, and then the filtrate becomes highly hypertonic. After the formation of the highly hypertonic filtrate, certain amounts of NaCl are reabsorbed from the ascending loop of Henle. And now the filtrate becomes hypotonic in condition. And then water molecules are reabsorbed from the collecting tubules, and then urea are reabsorbed, and ultimately a hyperconcentrated urine is formed. Now we will discuss about the composition of the urine. Urine is mainly composed of water, urea, salts, creatinine, ammonia and urochrome, which is responsible for the yellow color of the urine. Here is the end of the part 1 and the next part will be coming soon. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe this channel, click on the bell icon and follow us on Facebook and Telegram app. Thank you again.